Hello, and in this video, we'll be talking about how we can be interacting with a database from QTP. Well, to write the code in VB script to interact with any database, we have to know a couple of things. So let's first of all let's go ahead and then discuss about what kind of databases we could interact from QTP, and what are the different things which we need to be doing in order to connect to a database, and what kind of code are we talking about, and what kind of script we have to write. So let's get started. Well, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to lay out the plot here. I'm just going to show you how we will be doing that, and then we'll come back into QTP and write the code. All right, this is what we need to do. Here we have this is our QTP. In QTP, we have to write some code. We will be writing the code in QTP in VB script. Okay. Now, what is that code going to do? That code is basically going to get connected, let's say, with some database. All right. So this code will be connecting to some database. And once it connects to that database, what we want to do, we want to go ahead in that database and read some information from a table. All right. Now you understand the fact that this database could be residing wherever it is residing. So it could be residing on another machine. So this could be a server. So we have a server. On that server, this is your database, and we have now QTP. You'll be writing some code here to connect to this database, and after it connects to the database in that table, it will run some query, and that query will be written in SQL. So this is some query which we will be writing. And once that query gets executed, it will be bringing some data back into QTP, right? And once we get the data into QTP, we will be doing something with that data. All right. So that's how we are going to work here in this video. All right. So now that you have understood the game plan is we have to connect to a database, and that database is not necessarily sitting on the same machine as yours. It could pretty much sit on the same machine. For the test purpose, to make sure that we learn this in our scenario, it will be sitting on the same machine. But in real life, this is not necessarily be sitting. The database is not going to be sitting in the same machine, right? So it will be sitting on a remote server. So we got to see as how we are connecting to that server, and then we are connecting to the database, and in the database we'll be going to a table, executing a query, and then once you execute the query, you will be bringing some data back into QTP, and then we'll be doing something with that data. All right. Okay. Very good. Now, to make this thing possible, there are different things involved here. First of all, you got to know something about the database, right? So let's talk about what are different types of databases out there in the industry. So let's say there could be something like very popular, like an Oracle database. There could be something like SQL server database. There could be something like Sybase database. There could be something like Informix database. There could be something like DB2 database, or there could be something like MS Access database, right? Okay, so which database are we going to get connected to in this example? Well, we could pick and choose any one we want. I mean, usually DB2s are used for mainframe purpose, so we don't have a mainframe here. So that's out of question. So I will not be doing that. Now, In terms of the other databases, of course, we could get connected to Oracle, SQL Server, Sybase, Informix, whatever. In my case, I'm going to be showing you how to get connected to Access. The reason for that is we all have access. I mean, mostly all of us, we have access on our machine. So whatever I'm going to be showing you right now, you should be able to practice this and get an understanding of how we do this. Because some of you might not have Oracle, you might not have SQL Server, and it's a long shot to download Oracle SQL Server or download SQL Server and all that. So why not work with something which we already have readily available on our machine? So that's why I'm showing it to you in Access. In my future classes, I might go ahead and then either show it in Oracle or SQL Server, but that is down the road. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to connect to Access database. Okay, now that we have decided that it is going to be Microsoft Access database, now Access comes in different versions. Microsoft Access, it all depends if you have Office Suite. Let's say Office 2000, then you will have Access 2000. If you have Office 2003 or Office 2007, and the latest is Office 2010. On my machine, I have this Office 2007. So I will be dealing with an Access database, which is an Access 2007. All right. Okay. Now, doesn't matter if you are working with 2010 or 2003. Almost everything is going to be the same. All right. Now that we have established what database we'll be working on, now let's take a look into how we're going to be writing that code. Now, the code which we'll be writing will be in VB script, right? Okay. So before I go and discuss, what code we are going to write, I want you to understand that we will be using something called in our code something called ADOs, right? Now, what is ADO? ADO basically stands for active X data objects. Now, we said data objects, right? Data objects, plural. So that means that VB script uses what is called ADO, and ADO is nothing but it is a library, right? It is a library. Now, what do you mean by library? If you go to a library, there you have books, right? So you don't have like one book, you have many books, right? So its library can be said as collection of books, right? So in this case, ADO is a library, but it's not of books. It's of what? It's of objects, and it's a library of objects. And what kind of objects are those? Those are data objects. So in order for us to know more about how we're going to be writing that code, we have to know about these objects. So let's talk a little bit about ADOs, right? Let's talk a little bit about ADOs. Okay. So about ADOs, what I'm going to be doing is talk to you a little bit about what are ADOs and what are the different. Since we said ADOs is nothing but objects, right? Data objects. Since it is plural, that means that it's more than one object. So let's discuss what those objects are. There might be many of those objects, but we will be looking into the objects which we need to make connection to the database possible and to run the query and to get the data back. Okay, so in ADOs we have many objects. There is something called a connection object. There's something called a connection object, and then there is something called a record set object. Now, even though there are many other objects, there's something called a command object. Then there is something called a row object, column object, and all that. But I guess for whatever we need to connect to a database and get the data, these two objects are more than enough for us to do that job. All right. So when we are talking about objects, right, and when we are going to write a code in our VB script, right, and whenever we are dealing with objects, the way we have to write the code is, first of all, we have to declare objects. Whatever objects we want to use, we have to declare those objects. Number one. right? And then we have to use what is called a set, and set is nothing but it's a way of creating. Set is used to create what is called objects. So we will be using something called create object, right? And so now when I write the code, you'll be seeing these terms. We will be declaring objects, we'll be setting objects. Set object is nothing but you want to create an object. What object you want to create? Let's say you want to create, let's say you want to create an object, right? So what object from this list, right? So you want to create what is called this connection object, right? Now, but the connection object, right? It comes from this library. So the library is referred to as a ADODB library, right? Active data objects database library. So from that library, we have to get what is called connection, right? So we have to put that in the double quote. So this is how we're going to be writing our code. So since we are using these two objects, you will find me writing the code something like uh, set and then O as an object, and a short form for connection is OCon equals create object, and what kind of object? ADODB. Then you'll also see me declaring another object. So I would be declaring an object called declaration is done using dim, right? So I could say dim, and I could say OCon, right? So this is like declaring OCon as an object. And O for an object, and con is like a connection object. And then once I declare the object, then I have to go and then I have to create that object. The way I create that object is create object ADODB.connection. Likewise, I will be declaring, let's say, dim, and what object? ORS, let's say. And RS stands for record set. So I will be declaring that, and then I will say set ORS equals create object. And what object I am creating? I'm creating from ADODB dot record set, record set in the double quotes. So this is how we have to write the code. I mean, I'm just trying to show you how that VB script code is going to be. Now, once I go into QTP and start writing the code, I will show you step by step as how I'm going to be writing the code. So what we have learned so far is, in order for us to go ahead and then connect to a database from our QTP, we have to first of all have a database. Secondly, we have to write the code, and we are writing the code using this ADODB. Using this ADODB, we'll be writing the code. Correct? Okay. So let us see how we're going to do that. So first of all, let us go ahead and then create what is called the database. Okay. So to create the database, I will be going and creating that database. So I'm going to go into my start and then go into all programs, and where is my database? My database will be sitting inside this Microsoft Office. And what database are we going to create? We are going to create an Access database. So once I expand that, I see that I have Microsoft Office Access 2007. So I'm going to click on that, and that is going to open my Microsoft Access. Okay. Now notice here, depending on what kind of Office you have, Office 2003 or Office 2007. This, what you see here, might be a little bit different. So in my case here, since I have Office 2007, so I have opened Access 2007, and here I have the option of creating a blank database. So let me go ahead and then create this blank database. So I'm just gonna click on that. Once I click on that, what happened on this side? It tells me that, okay, you can go and then create a database, right? Blank database, give it a name, and tell me where you want to store it. So I will first of all call this database as I don't know, maybe training right DB database, right? Now, where am I going to store? I will go here and then I will store that, and this box is going to come up, and I will go ahead and then save it in a folder on my C drive. And on that C drive, I have a bunch of folders, and the folder which I will be saving is in QTP. training. And in QTP training, I have this a folder which I have made, and that folder is a database folder. I created that folder. So in that folder, I want to keep all my databases. So I'm just gonna double click on that, and there is already something called a TR training right test database in there. Now I'm going to store training right database. All right. So all right. So this is a training right database. I'm gonna go and then click on that, and so that is where it is going to store. Right. Okay, so now that I have given the database, the extension of that, see here, the extension of that is ACCDB. Let's say if you're using an older version of Access, that will have an extension of MDB. So here, the newer Access is ACCDB. ACCDB newer means starting from 2007 and 2010 and all that. So training right db.accdb. Okay, where am I going to create? I'm going to create in this folder. So let us go ahead and then create now. So I'm going to click on create. It is going to give me now this view, right? This view. Again, yours might be slightly different depending on what version of database you have. As you can see here, I have database 2007. All right, what am I going to do now? I will be going and creating that table. Now that I have the database, I want to go ahead and create a table. So it gives me here all tables, and right now I have table 1 is this table. So let me go and design this table. So to design the table, I will go into this view. See here, view. Let me go and click on that. And once I go and click on that, it tells me, okay, how do you want to name this table? So I want to name this table, let's say as users, right? As users. And I hit that. Now I come into the design here. So in a table, what do you have? In a table is nothing but like an Excel sheet, right? It's more like an Excel sheet where you have inside a table you have rows and columns, right? So what we have to do here, columns are also called field names. So we have to go and then define those field names. And this one automatically by itself, it is giving me the first field name as ID, and this is the data type, what it is going to store in ID. So it says that the first column will be called, or the first field name is called ID, and it will be an auto number. Auto number means that it is going to increment automatically. So if you see here, down here, it says that it is going to, new values are going to be incrementing. So that is what it is going to do, and so I will be okay with that. And then you see that little key here, that means that it is a primary key. See this primary key? Primary key means that whatever value it is going to put in that, that value cannot be repeated, meaning that you cannot have like two rows with the same ID. All right. Okay, so let's move on. And this is the next column. The next column is, let's say these are users, right? So I want to say username, right? Username. So username is one of the columns. And what do you think is going to be the data type? Username is what? Usually usernames are not like a number, right? Username is like some text which we will be putting. So it automatically selected text for you. And if you see this drop down, these are the different values which you could put in there. So you could put in text, you could put in number, you could put in date time, you could put in currency, depending on what field it is. So in this case, having a text is fine. So I'm going to leave it as that. So let us go and then into the next field and say what we want. Let's say here I want username, and usually we have password, right? So password, what do you think a password? Password again could be a text. Now, if you see down here, it is saying how many characters it is going to take. What is the field size? Do you think that your password is going to be 255 characters long? Maybe not. I mean, that will be like a huge password, right? So usually, let's say 25 is fine, right? Now, let us take a look into the other things. The second one is like a format, right? What kind of format you want, what kind of input mask you want, right? Input mask is if you don't want that data to be shown, rather in its place we want asterisks to be shown or something like that, right? So that's what that input mask is all about. I clicked on that, so it said that you have to save the table first. So I'm just gonna okay click on saving the table. So it is saying that whatever you're putting there, do you want that to be like that password, or are you putting a phone number? You want it to be in this format? So it is asking. So I just wanted to show you. We'll cancel out here. We will keep it as a text. That's fine. Now let us quickly take a look at the username. What is the size of the username? Again, 255. Usually usernames are, let's say we'll put it as 30, right? Okay, very good. So I have the username and I have the password. Now for now, that is more than enough. But if I'm really designing this table for future, then I could also add some more fields. Right now, I don't have anything in mind to add that, even though I could have like what a role or what group this user would belong to. But I will come back and then do that later. Okay, so one more time, let us save this. So I save that. What is the name of the table? The name of the table is users, and these are the two columns. Now, if I have to put some value into it, if I click on that again, one time you click on that, it will take you into the design. Next time you click on that, it will take you into the data. Now I could go ahead and then put some data in here. So what data I want to put in here? Username could be my name, Irfan, right? And password could be, I don't know, maybe ABC123, that's the password. Okay, then let us go and add some more users to it. So this is going to be John. And what is his password? His password could be just password, right? Okay, I will have one more, and let's say this is, I don't know, Jane, and her password is what? I don't know, tester, right? Um, Okay, that's her password. Okay, so we have created, what I have shown you is how to create a database in Access, and in there, how to create a table. Now, if we can create one table, we could create more tables, correct? Okay, now down the road, we're going to come back in here and then start adding more tables here, right? Right now, we are done for whatever we want to do. And in here, I created a table. I added like 3 usernames and passwords. Let's say these usernames and passwords will be used to test an application, to log into an application. So we need to parameterize that login information, right? The username and password. So from QTP, we could come here into database, read this information, and then pass this information to your test scripts, right? Something like that, right? So okay, now that we have made the database, I'm just gonna close out of here. So what's the goal now? We have to go back, and then we basically have to again talk about, now that I have the database is done. Database has been created. The database, I called it as training right database. In there, I created table, and this table is called users. In there, I have 3 users. I guess there's a username column, and then there is a password column, and in there we have at least 3 users. In real life, you'll have 3,000 or maybe 300 or maybe 30, but right now we have 3 users. So there is something called Ifan, and then there is ABC123, and then there is something called John, and his password was password, and then there was somebody called Jane, and her password was tester. Okay, so this information is inside the database. Now let's say this is you now, right? And you have to write the code in where? In QTP. You have to write the code so that you could go and connect and read this information and bring back that information back into your QTP. So we have to write that code. And how did we agreed in the past that we're going to be writing that code? You have to use something called ADO operators. All right. So let's do that in our QTP. Let's go ahead and then write that code so that we could go ahead, connect to this database, and bring the data into my QTP, and once I get the data into my QTP, I could do something with that data. With that data, what I can do, I could use that data into something like to pass that data into an application as a username and password. That I will be doing later on, but right now I'll just show you how to bring in the data into QTP. And in our next videos, I'm going to be showing you how to use that data to pass that data to your application under test, right? So this could be any application. So you will be getting the data here, and then you will be using that data to pass that data to the application. And there probably there is a form there for username, and you have to put that data here, and then there is a password. You have to put that data here, and then you have to click on log in, right? So that's the part of the application, right? So that data is getting fetched from here, passed it to this, and then based on that, this will be either a success, right? Or it could be a fail. So success is, this could be pass or fail. So depending on, whether we are able to fetch the data, pass it, and then it is giving you, and we will be doing our reporting and all that. All right. So it is important that you know as how to bring the data from the database and then show it in QTP. Okay, that's what we'll be doing now, guys. Okay. All right. So let's fasten your seat belts. Let's get into QTP and see how we're going to be doing that. Okay. Let's begin. So we bring up our QTP. Here is my QTP, and it's anything you see for the first time is going to be a little bit overwhelming, but it's not a big deal. You can very easily do it, and in fact I'm going to be showing you how to write that piece of code, and once you see me writing that piece of code, then you would say that wow, it was not that difficult, right? So then that's basically what we're going to be doing. Okay, as I have said, we'll be starting a new project, so I'm going to go new, and this I will call it my test. I will rename my test. So file, save as, and I'm gonna save this test as in my file system. I will call it QTP DB demo. Okay, QTP DB demo. All right. Okay, I will save that, and in this action, I am going to write that code. So this could be kind of like a backend testing, right? So you need to know as how to connect to a database from QTP, right? So in order to do that, we have to use that objects. So let me just say here, we will be using ADO objects to connect to the Access database. Okay. All right. Now, to connect to the Access database, first of all, we agreed that we have to use those objects, right? So we'll be using ADO objects. So what kind of ADO objects we'll be using? There are two objects. There is something called connection object, and there's something called record set object. All right, easy. All right. Okay. So when we are using objects, we have to declare them. So when we use objects, we have to declare and create them. Okay. So first object. So dim. Since it's an object, I will use either O or better OBJ, right? OBJ what? I will name it as OBJ connection, right? So this is going to be my object, right? Now I have to create this object. The way I'm going to be creating this object is set OBJ connection equals, I have to say create object, and within the parentheses double quote, I have to say ADO DB dot connection. Okay, so With that, I have created what is called the connection object. Now, once I create this object, I will put this object to use, and you will see in a minute how I'm going to be putting that object to use. First of all, declare the object and then create the object. Likewise, I need another object, dim obj rs for record set, right? And this is record record set. Okay, now that I have declared that, to use that, I will say set obj rs as in record set equals create object. Create object. And which object are we creating? We are creating what is called an ADODB dot record set. Record set. Okay, very good. So we have two objects and we created these two objects. I mean, for explanation purpose, I'm doing this. I have the declaration of the object and I create the object declaration. Usually, you declare first all the objects which you need to create and then you start creating them. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now that we have done this, next thing I want to do is I want to, coming back to this picture, I have written that code, ADO code. Now I want to go and connect to this database. Now that I have the objects here, I have to write the code to connect to this database, right? And to do that, what I have to do, basically, I have to say, I have an object called obj con. I have to say, hey, I want you to, this connection object, I want you to go and open, right? See now, you have the IntelliSense. This window drops down and exposes to you all the methods and properties of this object. So I want to use a method called open. So here I'm saying that I know that connection object or obj connection can do what? It can go and connect to a database. So I want it to, hey, obj Khan, you are a connection object. I want you to go and open the connection. Open which connection? This connection. So you have to provide now some details. So we want to open which database? I want to open the database which is sitting in my C drive in that folder called QTP training and all that, right? So I just cannot just give the path of that folder. First of all, I have to say use a driver. So I have to say provider equals, and I'll explain you in 1 second what it is. Microsft dot ace dot oledb dot 12.0. All right. You might be saying, what the heck are you doing here? I'll explain you in a second what it is. Then we are saying that data source equals, we give the path of where we want to, what is the database we want to get connected to. And I think my database is here in C drive in QTP training and database and training write DB. So this is basically the path, right? So I'm going to take this path, and I will stick it in here. So I am going to do that, right? Little smart. And I will do that cheating, right? And we will give the name of the database. Name of the database is training write DB, right? So I'm gonna say here training write. What is the extension? Training write DB dot what? Dot what? Yeah. Do you remember? ACCDB, right? That's what I showed you, right? Okay. So I close the double quotes and I close the bracket. Okay. What did we do here? Basically, what we are saying here is we are saying that we are writing the code here. We are writing the code here, right? So this is where I am writing all that code. I'm saying that, okay, I have two objects now. I have I have an object called obj connection, right? So that object is capable of opening the connection to any database. There could be many databases. There could be training right, there could be training left, there could be many databases, right? So how do you tell this guy to open this database? So you have to say that go over this way. So it's like, try and imagine this like going, this is the provider, so this is the driver it will use. in order for your code to reach the database, it has to use what is called a driver, right? And there could be, depending on what database it is connecting to. If it is connecting to Oracle, it will use an Oracle driver. If it is connecting to SQL Server, it will use the SQL Server driver. If it is connecting to Access, it will use the Access driver. So the information that we need to provide to connect to a particular type of database is said to be provided in the form of a driver, and this is that information. So we are saying that I want you to go and connect to the Access, Microsoft Access database. So this provider equals Microsoft.ace.oledb.12. That will help the connection object to go and establish the connection with the Access database. For SQL Server, this will be different. You will have something like Microsoft.SQL OLEDB, SQL OLEDB, and blah, 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 right? So when we do for SQL, I will show you what is the provider and all that. So once we do that, that's the driver information. Then the next part is you have to give the path to the database. So the path to the database is given using what is called data source, two words, data source, and this is the path to that. Okay, now that everything is done, so this connection object has been told which database it has to go and get connected to. Very good. Now, what is the next thing? The next thing is, now that we know what database we are connecting to, what are we going to do after we connect to the database? We are going to run a query, right? So let us write that query. So I will say declare a variable SQL. This is a variable which I'm declaring. And in this variable SQL, I will write a query. So how do you write a query? You will say select. And what do you want to bring from that database? What data you want to bring? You want to bring the data username. And what do you want to bring? You want to bring password. So you have to say select username, password. From which table? From the name of the table is users. So that's my query now. Okay, that's my query. It is going to connect to the database, and after it connects to the database, we want it to run this query, right, in this table called users. Now, where exactly we will say to run it? We do that using this command, objrs. This is the record set object, right? Record set object. And we say that when you objrs dot open, and then we say that once you do that, I want you to run this query. What query? The query which is in this variable. And what is the connection? Which object is the connection? Obj con. That's the object connection. Once we do that, that means that it is going to run the query, and the query and the data is going to be sitting in this objrs. So bottom line here is something like this. Let me just bring you to a new page and then show you what is happening. Now that we establish the connection to the database, we are going to run a query in the database. Once you run the query, then you will be bringing the data, right? So when you bring the data into QTP, before you bring the data into QTP, the data will be sitting inside what is called a record set object. Now you might be thinking like, this is weird, man. This is crazy. I'm a tester, and why do I have to do all this? And I'm not a developer. You don't have to worry about this. I'm explaining you this code. You could pretty much, copy paste this code if you want to, and not worry about, how it is doing, what it is doing, and all that. You don't really have to worry about that. So, but anyway, so me being a good guy, I will explain you everything. Now it is up to you if you want to, follow that, or you just want to copy paste. That's fine. But even if you copy paste, make sure that you understand what you're copying pasting, so that if the name of a table changes or something changes, you need to know where to get make the changes. Okay, again, this is the in QTP, and in QTP we are writing this code, so it is going to go and get connected to the database, and in the database we have a table, and it gets connected to the table. So this is the users table. So once it connects to the table, we want to bring the data. So the data will be sitting inside the what is called a record set object. So when you bring the data, it will be sitting in here in the record set object. So from the record set object, as long as there is data in here, so it will be what? Irfan, and it will be, what was the other guy? John, and it will be Jane, and down the road, if we add more, we'll have more, right? So we will bring in the record set object. So now we have to read the data from the record set object and store it in QTP, right? So I will say that as long as there is data, so this is which record set? OBJRS. And if I say EOF, that means that end of file. As long as it did not reach the end of file, this let's say is the end of file. As long as it did not reach the end of file, end of file means there is no data here. So end of file could be here if there are only 3 records. If there are more records, end of file could be here. So as long as there is no, it did not reach the end, we want to read. What do you want to read? We want to read this and we want to read that. And that's what we will be writing here. We will be saying that objrs dot fields, and we want to read username, and we want to read objrs dot fields, and we want to read password. So that's what we want to read, and we will put it into a print statement. Let's say I will print this. Right now I'm printing it, but later on we will use this. This is like get RO property kind of, right? So we will use this into wherever we want to. So we are reading it from the database, and then we want to right now printing, but we could be using wherever we want to. Okay, so let's continue to write that code. Here I am. So I open the connection. After I open the connection, what I want to do is I want to write this code. While what? While when you do a while, it will put when. So that means that while we are not at the end of the record, while not, what objrs dot eof. So while we are not at the end of the record, do what? Do this. Do what? Print what? Let's say objrs dot fields, and I will say which field I want to. I want to get the username, and I also want print objrs dot fields, and then this time I want password, right? Okay, so it will bring that, and so it will bring for the first record, right? So it is Irfan, and then it is whatever is the password ABC123. Then after that we want to go to the next one, right? So the way we go to the next one is we say objrs dot move next. Okay, so once I do all this, while it is not at the end of it, it will go bring that, put it in the print window. Go bring that, put it in the print window. And after it reaches the end, so that first one was Irfan, the second one was John, third one was Jane. After it does that, we are done with it, so we want to close. We want to close what? Objrs dot, I want to close that, so I will close it. And then I have objrs, I will set it to nothing. Set objrs equals nothing. This we do kind of like a cleanup of code, meaning that if you open an object, you have to close an object. So objcon, which was the connection object, you have to close the connection object. So I close the connection object, and then we will do set objcon equals nothing, right? Okay, I will just save this code, right? And let us see if there is anything wrong. So I'm just gonna run this code. There's no application to test, no nothing right now in this, right? So let us see if my code, because I wrote this code, let us see if it will work or not. So if it doesn't work, we will try and find out where it is failing and all that. So if it works, it has to go and then get the data from the Access database. So let us try. Okay, I'm running it. Let's see what it does. Okay. it is doing that. Okay, we have a problem. The problem is, okay, here it is. I was expecting it. The problem is, I had here record set, record set, right? I had not put record set. I said record set. So that's why I was, kind of like wondering why it did not give me like, when you do that, it should give you intelligence. So it did not give me intelligence. So let us see if it will do something like that now. So I made that change. So let me just run it now and see what it does. Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. You see, our code did work. Wow. I'm very happy. See now, our code did work. It opened the connection to the database, and it brought Irfan, ABC, John, password, Jane, tester, right? So it did connect to that. So, okay, what we will do is, here I'm going to say, print what it is. This is the username, username, that and I will put a concatenation operator. And this is the password. So I'm going to say password, and I will say that, that and concatenation operator. So username is that, password is that. So again, I will run it now and see what it is going to do. As you see that it is running the code, it is opening the connection to the database, and here, wow, in just like a second, it did all this. It went and then it got the username, password, username, password, username, password. Just for the heck of it, I'm gonna go ahead and add one more to it and see if it can pull that. So here is my, I'm gonna open that and I'm gonna add two more. So I will go ahead and open that table, and here I have Irfan, John, Jane. Let me add one more user, and this user is Bill, right? And his password is QTP tester, right? And we have, let's say, Raj, right? And his password is Indian. All right. Okay. Now let us see. I added this in the database. Let me close. Let me save this table and let me close this database and let me run. Let me just get out of here and then run this code again and see if it is going to bring me all of those 5 records. So I go, I run, and as you should be seeing in a second that okay, so we have all our 5 testers here. As you can see, I have now, let me just make it big. Okay, here it is. Username Irfan, password ABC123. Username John, password is password. Username Jane, password tester. Username Bill, this is the one which we just added, Bill and Raj, right? Okay, so that's what we added. Alrighty, so that's about it. This is a very important video where we know as how we could connect to a database which is an Access database. Now, in my future videos, I'm going to be showing you as how to connect to other databases like SQL Server and how we do execute stored procedures from SQL Server and all that. This is a little bit advanced topic, but will help you in the interviews. You could be talking about different things. You could be basically trying and impress your interviewer by saying that you know as how to write VB code where you could interact with a database, and then you have used ADO object library, and in there you have connection object, you have record set object, and basically you have to declare those 2 objects, you have to create those 2 objects, and then you have to use some provider depending on what database you are connecting to. You'll be using a provider, and then you will be running a query, and once you run the query, you will be getting that data into the record set object, and once you get the data into the record set object, it becomes pretty easy because you're putting that data to use by either printing it. In this case, I'm printing it, but in my next videos, other videos, what I'll be showing is using this username and password to log into an application. So very soon we'll be discussing as how we could be logging into an application by using the usernames and passwords which are inside this Access database. All right, that's about it for this video. I know it's a little long video, but I hope you have learned a lot in this video, and will put that knowledge to use in your interviews and while you work. Thank you again for watching this video, and we hope to see you back in another video. And whatever you're seeing, if this is something of your interest, go to www.trainingrite.com, and there you should be able to see what kind of courses we have. We have different courses going on, and here to give you basically the idea of how we do it. We have the live sessions, and we have video sessions. Whatever is of your interest, you could enroll into that and enhance your knowledge. We do courses into like QTP, Selenium. We do load runner, soapui, web service testing, quality center, and SQL for testers, and a few other courses. So all right. That's it. That's it. That's it. Okay. We'll see you again in another video. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.